Hey guys, how we doing? My name is Will Zambrano, coming to you guys from the Cisco Networkers / NYC Networkers meetup group. And tonight we're actually going to finally conclude the CCNA series of meetups that I've been putting together for the past few months. Tonight we're going to finish up with part 3. Now, it's been a while since we did part 2, and I originally scheduled part 3 for early last month, and I delayed it till now. And what day is today? Today's the 7th. So it's been like almost a month that I delayed it. The reason being is I moved to a new apartment, and then Christmas happened, and then New Year's happened, and so everything kind of got delayed, and so that's the reason for my my delay here. But it's finally out. Part 3 is out. So, but tonight's actually gonna be, or this video is gonna be a little bit different than most of the videos that I've put up on the channel. Reason being is because we're gonna actually look more into the Microsoft end. So we're going to take a look at how to actually, aside from actually just the enrollment of certificates, because when I was putting together the meetup in the first place, I noticed that actually enrolling our devices, our firewalls, and our ASAs to a PKI or to a certificate of authority is pretty straightforward. There's like, I don't know, what is it like maybe 5 or 10 commands that we have to pop in. There's really not much to it. And if I did do it, the video would probably be like a 10-minute video. So I felt like I would kind of cheapen the experience. And, one thing that I try to do with you guys is go the extra mile and give you guys more than what the exam will give you, or even for the real world. I want to give you guys more real world scenarios. So tonight I'm going to give you guys just that. We're going to look into creating that Microsoft server. We're going to link our GNS3 topology to it. And this way we'll configure the Microsoft end and the Cisco end. So we're going to see the full picture here tonight. Okay, so before I begin, if you guys have been following my video, you guys probably seen this slide 1,000 times, but for anyone who hasn't, my name is Will Zambrano, as I have here. I've been doing IT for about 8 years now. It's all I know. It's all I've been doing since I was like in my teens. And I've worked and consulted at many different type of companies, as well as I've done teaching as well. I'm also I teach as a CCSI, Cisco Certified Instructor, and you can see all my certs here. I have like a bunch of them here. Also, I wanted to point out one of the organizers for the Cisco Networkers Meetup group. Chances are that's probably the way you found our group, and you can just go to meetup.com/Cisco-Networkers. You'll see the page here. You also have a Anchor website called nycnetworkers.com, and to briefly go over it, I mean, this is where we're going to store any documents like our PDFs, our .NET files. Calendar's not working yet, but if you click on documents, you can see a couple PowerPoints that I have uploaded here. We also have links directly to our YouTube channel and directly to our meetup.com page, and links as well for a couple different links that we come across. Next thing too with the website also is that it's going to double as a blog. So anything that I find in the real world or anything that I think that would be helpful to share with you guys, I'll post up here on the blog as well. So I'm hoping I can reach more people and give you guys more than me just putting webinars together for you guys. Also, I want to mention, if you guys are available next week, it's also on our meetup page here. If you guys are available, it's going to be Tuesday the 4th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have 2 guest speakers come in, Keith Barker and Anthony Sequeira. They're going to be talking about CCIE version 5. So, and I always encourage anybody who's thinking about taking any kind of Cisco test or thinking about the industry, about getting into it, or even if you are in the industry for a long time, it definitely pays to pick these guys' brain. And this is kind of like a rare chance that not a lot of times you get, where you get to talk to like the titans of our industry. So definitely come in with your questions, and it'll be pretty good. So and of course down here I got my contact information if you guys want to reach out to me. willzambrano@gmail.com, and you could hit me up on Skype. That's my Skype handle name. I'm always on Skype. So if I'm not on, just send me a message. If I don't reply, that means I'm probably not near the computer. So don't worry, just keep hitting me up until I answer you back. Also, another thing, we have a sponsorship from Pearson View, the publisher who does Cisco Press. So you can have there's 2 discount codes here. One's 35% off printed books plus free shipping. and the other one's 45% off ebooks. So you guys can take that advantage of that if you guys are looking to get like a NA or NP or any kind of Cisco Press book out there. Okay, so let's go to common tasks here. So if you guys haven't seen part 1 or part 2, we do have them on the YouTube channel. So the reason these are crossed out is because we took care of these guys already. So tonight we're going to focus on installing certs from a CA. It's going to be part 3 here tonight. And as I mentioned before, it should be in the description, I'm going to give you guys the full picture here tonight. So as I was putting together the meetup before, and like I mentioned, if I guys just gave you the Cisco side of certificates, this will be a really brief meetup. It will be like a 15-minute meetup and we're done. So if you guys want to know that information, you guys could probably skip to the end of this, or yeah, you guys just skip to the end of it. But I'm a big believer of going the extra mile, knowing the full picture of what we're looking at here. So tonight, as I mentioned, is going to be different. We're going to be taking a look at the Microsoft end and configuring it and linking it up to our GNS3 routers and firewalls, and naturally get some pings, configurations, enrollments going on. So we're getting the full story here tonight, which is going to be pretty nice. Okay. So here we go. So a couple things that we're going to do here for tonight. As I mentioned, we're going to be installing their Microsoft, couple Microsoft boxes, and we're going to enable SCEP and NDES. And if you guys have been networking for any amount of time, you may or may not know, or IT for any amount of time, you may or may not know what SCEP and NDES is, which I'll get into in a second what those things mean. At least when I was putting this meetup together, I didn't know what these terms meant. So it's going to be nice. I can kind of show you guys what that means. And as I mentioned, we're going to do with our GNS3 routers and firewalls, we're going to enroll our devices to the certificate of authority, both manually and automatically. So there's 2 main ways to get certificates into our devices. We could do it automatically, which you know, depending on the use case, you know, is obviously a lot easier, a lot faster, or automatically, or we could do it manually, where it's a little bit more copy and pasting. I think in the command line it even says copy and paste if you opt for that option. Okay, so the big picture, like I said, I'm going to briefly go through this here because just for the sake of time, and plus if you guys have more detailed questions, feel free to comment below or drop me a line. But the big picture. Now, a couple of you guys may be wondering, it's like, all right, really, why are we doing Microsoft here? At least I can speak for myself. You know, the reason I got into networking was to get away from desktop admin, was to get away from server admin. I hated Windows. I kind of still do to this day. And, you know, I don't find it that enjoyable. I mean, it's fun, it's okay, but I find networking a lot more attractive, a lot more funner. But you know what? At the end of the day, for the real world, it's nice to know how all the pieces fit in together here. And that's why I kind of dubbed the big picture. You don't want to be that guy who is, you know, going to be troubleshooting an issue. I mean, case in point today, I was actually troubleshooting, supposedly there was like a VLAN trunking issue where a VLAN wasn't being forwarded across the trunk between 2 switches. Turned out that I looked at the server end and the server wasn't properly configured. And once I told the server admin what to do. I said, hey, maybe you should check this out. Where we worked together with the server admin, and we were able to actually, in fact, get the traffic flowing for a particular VLAN across the trunk. So if I didn't know, if I didn't have a Windows background, I wouldn't know what to tell him, or I wouldn't even know how to work with him. So just for the real world, do yourself a favor. Even though you may not love Microsoft or want to be a Windows admin, it pays to at least know what you're working with. So, but next are certificates. So, as we learned already from CCNA's different studies, and even back from CompTIA and NetPlus, certs is a way that we can use to identify ourselves, to say, listen, I am who I say I am, and also a way to encrypt communication between 2 endpoints. So it could be, let's say, like a ASA to another ASA. It could be a main headquarters ASA to a Soho site or a remote site, or it's like a branch office or something. Also could be used to, instead of our pre-shared keys, we can submit certificates to get our tunnels up. So there's many different ways that we could use certificates. They're a lot more come into play when it comes to like website development and Windows PCs. But since this is a networking meetup, I'm going to keep it relevant to the networking portion. And if I told you guys I know the other parts, I'd be lying to you because as I mentioned, I'm not a Windows guy. So we're going to keep it concentrated into our networking piece. So we could do that. When we could also, and chances are, if you guys have been in the industry for a while, you probably had a time where you had to upgrade a certificate from a third party. So you could actually pay another company to provide you these certificates. So they'll give you a certificate chain. You get the root, the intermediate, and the actual cert itself. And when all three stars align, aka all three certs align, and in a downstream and upstream fashion, you'll get the certificate working for you properly. So and these are a couple of different vendors. VeriSign, they got bought out by Symantec, but I'd still call them VeriSign by habit. You can go over to VeriSign, GoDaddy, GeoTrust. I mean, there's a bunch of different companies out there that if you want a cert for your website or for your load balancer or whatever it is, you can pay them for that and get it. Or you could also do it manually. You can just make up your own certificate authority. So it's the more manual process. So you can say either do it yourself or pay somebody else to do it. Okay. So now what I mentioned before about that terminology of SCEP and NDES, you can kind of think of SCEP and NDES like OSPF and EIGRP. So we all know that OSPF is industry standard, EIGRP is Cisco only, at least up until last year when it became open source. But for the sake of argument, let's say EIGRP is going to be Cisco only, proprietary, and we got our OSPF, which is industry standard. Everybody can use it. So just think of that. So say whenever you see SCEP, just think of OSPF. You know what OSPF does. It's going to be open standard. And when you think of NDES, think of EIGRP. So of course, we're talking about Windows here. So it's not Cisco proprietary. It's, you could say, Microsoft proprietary. SCEP is going to stands for our simple cert enrollment process. Companies like the VeriSigns out there, they use it in order to deliver to you your certificate. So instead of doing a bunch of copy and pasting, give me your cert, I'll approve it, here is your approved cert, you point it to a website and download the certificate from them. Now, Microsoft has the same thing, but they call it Network Device Enrollment Services, or NDES, and that's why I put there the Microsoft flavor, and it's as Microsoft's way of implementation. So you can kind of think of it as like a Microsoft flavor of SCEP. Okay, so as I mentioned before, you can manually, via copy and paste, you can copy the root intermediate and the actual cert itself to the device that you're trying to enroll. That's another way you could do it. So you can do the automatic way of downloading it straight from the CA itself, or you can do a bunch of copying and pasting and hope the stars align and make sure that nothing breaks. So one example of that, they changed this around a little bit. I used it when it used to be called Symantec, but I'm pretty sure other vendors had similar tools too. But you can go to Symantec SSL Toolbox, and you can actually check your certificate request or check your installation. So if you have a certificate from Symantec SRV, you can do that copy paste into here and check it. And even hold your hand a little bit here. So the good thing about Symantec is that, or any other vendor, they'll usually try to help you in terms of getting the process right. So how to generate a CSR, how to enroll it, how to back it up, how to install it. Even for Cisco, so you can say, let's do the ASA 5510. See what they got for us here. And there's like a little KB article here. It shows you what you need to do to get that working. But you go to check your installation certificate. So we can type in our website, nycnetworkers.com, hit check. And this is actually going to fail because I didn't buy my certificate from Symantec. I got it from GoDaddy. So it says right point blank, it says this is not a Symantec cert. So please contact the right CA for further verification. So I don't even know if GoDaddy has something similar to this. It's probably in here somewhere, or maybe Web Tools. If I find, oh, here we go. This is all certificates. Maybe this one. Oh no, this is just buying stuff. Okay. If I find it for GoDaddy, I'll post it up. I'll post up a blog page, but I know for sure definitely Semantic gives you that option for that. Okay. So we have the automatic way, we have the manual way, and we have the pay someone else to do it for you. And there's, as I mentioned, there's tons of different vendors out there, and they'll hold your hand throughout the process. Okay. So what we're gonna do here for tonight, we're gonna, and I'm actually gonna post this under the documents page once this video gets released on YouTube. I'm gonna write up a lab directions that you guys can follow to do basically what I'm gonna do here. And it's not, there's a lot of steps to the piece, to the puzzle here. So unfortunately, if you do miss one little piece, it's gonna screw up the whole thing. So one reason that I wanted to get this deep into certificates was that, one, not many networking guys know it. So if you guys know it, you know, you guys step up on the other network guy. One. Two, it helps you in terms of, like I said, you know, you're not going to be the quiet guy in the corner twiddling your thumbs, you know, waiting for the server guy to get back to you. You can be proactive. So what we're going to do is, first you want to get yourself an ISO image of Windows 2008, and make sure you get R2. Don't do what I did. Don't get 2008 by itself, and then you're wondering why things aren't working. Get yourself R2. That's going to give us the options that we want. Next up, chances are you guys probably have some type of virtualization software on your machine. I personally have VM Workstation, and as you guys can see, I already built two brand new out of the box Windows 2008 boxes. I mean, I didn't even change the PC name here. I literally just hit next, finish. And I also, as well, I put these two DCs, or they're going to be DCs, but I put these two boxes into their own sandbox, VM. So, I mean, not VM, network adapter. So, I actually want to do a little bit more. I want to go over to VM1. VM1, so this way we can link VM1 to our GNS3 environment. So, I'm going to do that right now. So just create like a sandbox switch so that our GNS3 and our VMs can talk to each other. Okay. And as I mentioned, we're going to do a host-only network for these two Windows boxes. And the reason I'm creating two here tonight is, one is going to be our root CA, and the second one is going to be our intermediate, or our secondary CA. So what we're going to do here tonight is make both of these servers domain controllers, and I'm going to install the Microsoft CA roles. I'm going to configure a certificate template that we're going to hand out to our iOS router and firewall and GNS3. And also for the GNS3 configuration, so that we can talk to our 2008 boxes. This is the same topology that we used in CCNA Security Part 1. So we got a radius, TACAX, and we have our ASA boxes. Now, the key thing here, I mean, if you guys need help in setting up like an ASA or whatever, just drop me a comment or email me. But I'm assuming you guys know how to do that, so I'm going to have that there. The one thing that I won't assume that you know how to do is how to use the cloud to connect, to have these devices ping the VMs. So to do that, remember back in here, we put the two VMs in that sandbox switch called VMnet1. So what you want to do is, and I can't change it because I have it connected, but if you drag out the cloud, so you have it down, well, it's cut off. Right down here, you can see it, cloud. So you drag it out, you right-click it, configure, and under this Ethernet tab, the first tab, drop this down and pick VMnet1. You hit that, hit add, it adds it down here, and you click OK. So that's going to be like your way to connect it to that sandbox switch. So this way our routers and switches can ping the VMs. Okay, so there's not much to that. And if you guys want to follow along with me while I do this, these are going to be my IP assignments. I'm going to give the two VM boxes a 2220, 223. I'm going to give the two iOS routers 221, 224. And I'm going to give the ASA firewall a 222. Okay. So, and just for the sake of time for the video, I'm going to go ahead and speed this. But I just want to show you guys there's nothing here. You can even see the time here. There's nothing on here right now. It's empty. There's no roles on here. So I'm going to go ahead and actually a couple things that I do when I do this on a new box, at least in a testing environment. Change it to small icons. Turn Windows Firewall off. It'll just be more of a hassle when we can't ping or can't do something, so I turn that thing off. I also go to user accounts. Oh, no. Change this back here, small icons. User accounts. Turn off this ACL or ACA thing. Say never notify me, so this thing doesn't pop up every time. It's like double clicking yes. It's like saying, are you sure? Another thing you want to do is right click computer, go to manage. Go to configuration, go to local users, go to users, and then built into the, and this account is something that VMware when it installed it made for me, so you probably might not have this account here, but the administrator, this is the built-in local admin account. So what you want to do is give it a password, because by default there's no password. Or at least when I did the installation, I let VMware do it for me, so it didn't ask me for a password. I just hit blank. So I'm just going to pop a password in there because if you don't, and then you want to do Active Directory, ADUC, and everything, it's going to complain and say that it needs a password. Actually, before I jump to the other box, you want to right-click computer, go to properties, and we want to change the name. I want to call this, so this is 3. And it's going to make you reset the box. So you can reset it, that's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to pause the video while I do DC02, just to save on some time. Okay, so I just did it for DC2 and DC3. So I'm going to go ahead and do a DC promo on this guy. To install Active Directory on here. And I'm going to be pausing this video a lot in between these because a lot of times we're just sitting here and waiting for this. So if you see the screen frame blip or whatever, it's just because I just paused something. So I'm going to pause this and wait for that little welcome menu to pop up. Oh, by the way, we want to make sure that you do this on DC02 first. We want to make that our main domain controller because we're going to have DC3 join the domain. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention before we go ahead and install AD is our IP addresses. So another thing, just so we can keep track who's who, I'm going to hard code DC02 and DC03 right now. So to do that, I actually have a shortcut. What I do, I go to ncpa.cpl. Takes me straight to what I want to see. It's a lot quicker. I'm going to go to properties, turn off V6, go into 4, and just pop it in. And we don't have to put a default gateway. Since this is going to be the first DCN domain, it's going to point to itself for the DNS. And I'll do the same for DC03. And I'm going to point to DC02 for DNS because he's going to be the first one, DNS server in our environment. So once we get to this, we're going to hit next. Next, create new forest. We're going to call it meetup.net. If I can type. Once we get to this part, I'm going to hit 2008 R2 just because. Hit next to this. Hit yes to this. Leave everything at default. Put in a password in here that you could remember. Next, and it'll sit here for like, depending on how much resources you gave to it. I don't know, anywhere between maybe 5 to like 20 minutes or something. I just hit this thing, reboot on completion, and then you just kind of hang out and wait. So I'll come back when it's all done. Okay, once it's done, it rebooted it. It got me back to my desktop. One thing that you want to do though, when you do get back on desktop, notice I'm still signed in as this local user account. So I'm going to hit log off. And you actually want to sign in with the administrator account that we set up here. So notice it says meetup at William. So I'm going to switch user. I still want to log into meetup, but I want to sign in as that administrator account that we created. Or that not created, but we set that password. So this way we actually sign into the domain instead of signing into the local machine. Okay, so now let's reset it, and I signed in with the administrator account. Went to like the log off. I signed in as admin. So I'm going to jump to, now this is installed. You know that you did it properly is if you go to Start Admin Tools, you'll see all this Active Directory stuff here. That means you know you made into a domain controller and you get all these tools. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to DC03. I want to join this machine to the domain because you can see down here it's still set to workgroup. So one test that you could do to make sure that you could actually reach it is just to ping it. So I'm going to do by IP. Because DNS hasn't been resolved yet, or hasn't been set up yet on this box. So I guess I can ping it, so that's a good sign. That means I can, chances are I could enroll myself into the meetup.net domain. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. It's going to ask for a password. I'm going to put in that administrator account that we created before. And usually it takes time and sits there. Okay, welcome to the domain. It's going to ask you to reset it. Restart the box. So I'm going to come back when it's all done. So now it reset it. So I'm going to sign in. Make sure though that you don't sign into the local machine again. You want to hit switch user and sign in as that administrator account because he's part of the domain. And if you get this log on to and it still says the local machine, just go back here and type in meetup / and it'll let you sign into the domain. So anything that we're going to do here on out is going to be done on the domain and not on the local machine, in which we want to do. So I'll wait for this to load up. All right, so once you sign in, you get to the screen here, and now you're part of the domain. So you can check that by, once again, whoops, you go to Admin Tools. Now here, notice you're not going to see the Active Directory stuff here. That's because this box isn't a domain controller. It just joined the domain. That's like you take like a Windows regular PC and you just join into the domain at work. So just to make things easy, and this way we can replicate users, I'm going to also make this machine DC. So we'll do the same thing. Once it's joined domain, I'll just make it a domain controller. Right. Once that screen pops up, this is going to be very similar to what we did with the first one with DC02. Instead of creating a new one, we're going to join an existing one, which is going to be our meetup.net. Hit next. 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 You can see why I'm not too crazy on Microsoft. It's, I mean, you guys know how it is. next, finish, you're done. It means a lot of this is straightforward. Unfortunately, the part that we're going to get to actually configuring the SCEP is not straightforward. It's kind of, as I mentioned, complex. If you miss one step, it's going to break the whole thing. Okay, let's hit yes for this. Next. Put in a password that you'll remember. Next. And this looks really similar. So just hit check this guy, reboot on completion, and just hang around till it finishes. Okay, once it's done rebooting, I'm going to sign in. And we're setting, we got the right account here, so I'm just going to sign in. Going to wait for this to finish. Okay, and once you sign in, Now you can go to admin tools and you can see all these settings in here. So but first we're going to go to DC02 because that's our main DC. Now there's actually the first step I'm going to show you guys here today is the auto enrollment process, which is you guys remember this part here, using our SCEP or NDES. In this case we could use NDES because we're using a Microsoft flavor, and then later on I'll show you guys the manual way. So to do that though, we got to set up a certificate authority. So to do that, I'm going to create the root, which is going to be DC02 in my case. I'm going to add that role. To check this box off here. Check these two guys here. Next, we want to check enterprise. Now, if you guys sign in locally with a local user account, this enterprise will be grayed out. That's why I mentioned to you guys before, like if it auto signs you in, log off and make sure you specify that local admin account or administrator account, not local, the domain administrator account. Or if you guys want to, you could even create your own different user account and Active Directory if you want. So we're gonna make it the root. Hit next. This I like to change to the actual name. It just makes it easier when we actually view the certificate on the routers. Next, finish. All right, once it's done, just hit close. And that's it we're going to do here for our root. I'm not going to install NDES. If you guys notice here, you can see Network Device Enrollment Service. That's our NDES service that we're going to install. But we're going to install this on our intermediate CA, the secondary. This I just want to show you guys the relationship between and see the chain between the primary and the secondary. Plus, it's good practice too if you guys haven't really played with Windows too much before. So I mean, in all reality, we can do all this in one box. But I like to show guys who haven't had that Windows experience, you know, how to actually join, you know, a domain, a server to a domain, and then we're going to actually next on DC03. I'm going to add the role, the certificate authority role, but I'm going to make it a secondary. So I'm going to show you guys how we do that. So we're going to go to add roles, and it's pretty much the same thing. Kind of similar to adding DC to the domain. We want to make sure we have enterprise, but instead of clicking root, you want to click on subordinate. This is the same. This is the same. This I like to just change it to meetup DC03. Just makes it look nicer. And then we could either browse by CA name or by computer name, or if you want to do it manually, we can actually take this it's like a CSR, and then we do a copy and paste to DC02, but that takes too long, and so it's easier to pick DC02 from the list. In our case, there's only 2 boxes here, so of course that's the only one. Hit next, and finish. Okay, once it's done, we'll hit close. Now, DC03 is actually going to be our RA, Register Authority, I think it stands for. Basically, this is the server that we're going to install the NDES on. So instead of clicking on Add Roles, you want to click on Add Role Services. And then you want to check these guys off. If you guys try to check this off all in one shot, it's going to give you like an X mark, a red error. It's going to say you can only do one at a time. So I'm going to check all these guys off. And actually, before I do this, let me, if any of you guys ever done BlackBerry server administration, and even a bunch of other products out there, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll make you create, or they recommend that you create a user account just for that service and give it the right permissions. So it's going to kind of be similar to this, where, and this is the reason why I wanted to make both DCs, is because I can go in here and make that AD user. So I'm going to go in here, go to New User. I'm going to call it NDES Admin, because that's what it's going to be. NDES Admin. I'm going to give a password that I know, and I'm going to set it so that he can't change it, it never expires. And one thing in order to get this NDES working, and by the way, if you guys are curious how I figured this out, there's a kind of good sized white paper from Microsoft site. It's called Active Directory NDES Enrollment Service. It's like a 62-page doc. It goes through the step-by-step, explains how this actually works in the background, what you actually have to do to get it working, the permissions you have to apply. I mean, here's like the basically the summary of what the different steps you have to do, and they also have like a small troubleshooting section at the end. So this is already on the nycnetworkers.com page. So if you want, you guys can go there and pull it down. So that's kind of where all this came from. So they recommend here create a user. In my case, like I said, I have an NDES user, or NDES admin, and I'm going to give it add permissions for the IES, IUR, blah, whatever this thing is. You want to add it to this group here. Okay, and if you jump to DCO2, it'll also be there as well. Here it goes. Here's your NDES user. Okay, so it even tells you here too. It says select the user account that you use to when authorizing certificate requests, and it must be part member domain. It must be part of that user group here. So it even tells you here too. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that information. Next, the register authority information here. It's going to be part of that certificate. So this is going to be 3. I'm just going to put in, and this doesn't have to be completely exact for the lab. You can put in here whatever you want. I'll put like IT, New York. Obviously, in the real world, you want to make sure that this matches. This is actually in fact correct, but I'm just putting in whatever. I'm going to keep this the same. Keep this the same. I'm going to do username and password. This is when we're going to go ahead to actually pull that cert out. We want to put in that NDES user, NDES admin account again, the user account. Next, I'm gonna pick this one here. Since the fully qualified domain name, this is the when users actually open up that account, what cert that we give them. So this is when communicating with clients, yada yada yada. Choose the server authentication certificate suitable for encryption to add to the default website. So I just use the fully qualified because it's more complete. Next, finish. And actually, you know what, guys? While this is going, I'm going to show you guys the or assign IPs to these devices here. So if you guys, like I said, are following the IP assignments that I'm using, I'm going to assign this to the interfaces on the devices. So I already have some of them open here. Okay, so radius, and if you guys remember from part 1, this already has a local user account on here. Even if it doesn't make a difference. I mean, on yours, even if it's a out of the box deployment, still be the same steps here. And I got the ASA here. That's going to be, is that correct? Yeah, that's fine. That one's not working. I'll look at that in a second. Radius. You want to change that. And let me take a look at my TACAX. What happened to this guy? Connection refused. Let me just stop and start him. If it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. We could always use radius only, so I'll leave these two down here. Another thing too we could do is actually ping DC3. So we said he was 223. and I can ping them, and I'll do the same thing for the ASA. Well, actually, you guys can see that here. I was able to ping, and let me do the same for the ASA, and I can ping them too. So I know that that's working fine. You can close. Okay, next we want to go ahead and create the MC so we can put our snap-ins. You want to choose these three over here: cert templates, certificates, and certificate authority. When you put certificates, make sure you choose the computer account. And then you want to save it. I just put it on the desktop so it's easier to get to. Expand all these guys out. Okay. So cert templates, these are the certificates that we could, or the certs that we could hand out. All of these, what you're going to want to do is actually make duplicates or make clones or copies, and then you could modify the copies. These are kind of like the perfect certs, I guess you could say. These are like the templates that we're going to use, as the name implies, certificate templates. And then we're going to actually copy the template, make our own, and then modify the settings for that to kind of match what we need it for. Certificates are all the certs that we have locally on this machine. So if I go to personal cert, this is my personal certificate for Meetup DC03. And what you could do is, like if you could hit this one here, you can see up in the top of the chain, you see DC02, or so this is like the whole PKI infrastructure. Generally, the top of the list is the root, and the second one is going to be your intermediate or your secondary, and then most of the time, you'll have like a third one, and that's going to be your actual certificate itself. So an example of this is, let me see here. I'll do like PayPal.com or something. Let me open up a browser window here. Okay, so I just went to PayPal. You can see here verified at the root. And if you want to dig deeper into it, you can see all the settings of this. So this is version 3, the serial number of the issuer who actually issued this, and we see here VeriSign did it. When is it valid? So it'll stop. Looks like 2036. The subject here. Another good thing to take a look at is the, let's see, field value. This is a little bit different on the Windows, not the Windows, the IE. If you open IE, it comes a little bit different, so you can see like the chain a little bit nicer here. So you get the root, intermediate, and the actual cert itself. And if you want to do details, you can see version, and it's the same thing as the Firefox one, version 3. I can see who issued it, to and from, like it's valid from this date to this date. So that means, you know, whenever you're configuring certs, you want to make sure the clock is right, or else if it doesn't fall in this range, it's not going to work. You also see the thumbprint, and this is something that you can match with the CA to make sure like nothing was, you know, corrupted or anything. So, okay. And the certificate authority itself. So you can see the revoked certs, the issued certs, certs on its own. So you can see here the user account administrator that I signed in with. And if you hit this guy, great. It's not responding. Thank you, Microsoft. All right. It'll probably open. It just takes, yeah, here it goes. It just takes forever. Here we go. Okay. So you see the chain here, the certificate services chain. Same deal. So it's good from 2014 to 2016. Revoke certs, failed certs, cert templates. So if you even go to here, actually, no, let's pretend this DC02 is offline because these are root. So we're only working with DC3. Okay. So next what we need to do is, well, now we ensure connectivity on the GNS3 side. We're going to create a copy of a template. And as I mentioned, this is the part where it starts to get a little confusing. You may need to see the video a few times for this. Or if you want the nitty-gritty details, you can take a look at that white paper that Microsoft released. So for our networking stuff, we want to pick the IPsec offline request. So we'll make a duplicate template. I'm going to pick 08. For this, I'm just going to say, just to make it simple, I'll say meetup IPsec. This should all say the same. The only thing that you want to change here for the security is so that this NDES admin account, you want to make sure you have read and enroll permissions for this particular template. So what we're going to do is when we actually log into the web console for the CA, we're going to log in as this user account, and then we need to make sure it has the right permissions to actually use this template. Hit apply OK. So we see that it created down here. And what you got to do, once you actually, because notice that these are 30 different snap-ins, so you actually have to go to the certificate authority snap-in, right-click this template, and you have to actually add it to the CA server to be used. And just like Microsoft usually does sometimes, this freezes and looks like it's broken, but it doesn't. So right-click it, go to New, certificate template to issue. You want to choose our meetup IPsec template, hit OK, and it's added in here. Okay, and that's about it that we have to do. No, there's one more piece actually. I'm looking at the white paper. Another thing we have to do that is not intuitive whatsoever. So if we follow this document here, I want to show you guys where it's. Yeah, we did that part already. Here we go. Configuring the NDES service. So the service uses registry keys, store configuration settings, all settings are stored under one registry key. So we actually have to go into the registry and edit this key string here. And if you go down more, where's that setting where it says it gives you, tells you exactly what I think is this one. Yeah, here we go. Configuring templates for device enrollment. So by default, service is configured to submit enroll requests based on the IPsec offline request. This is the one that we copied, but what I did was I just called it meetup IPsec, not this whole long piece here. So we want to go into this key, and then you need to modify 3 other items or keys or whatever Windows calls it. This one, and this one. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's get into the registry. You got local machine, software, Microsoft, cryptography, SCEP. And in here you see encryption, general, and signature. So that's what's here. General, encryption, signature. So what we want to do is, it's calling what template to use. So we actually called it meetup IPsec, and I'm going to be case sensitive. Meetup IPsec, yeah. So you want to do like a copy just to make it easier. Paste, paste. Okay, that should be good. And just to make sure, let's jump back in here and let's go to CA service roles, and whenever it comes up, today would be nice. Here we go. Go down here and just go reset to reset the service, just to make sure like it clicks everything and everything gets resetted to read that new registry key and everything. Okay. So yeah, another thing that you wouldn't know unless you had the documentation is the site to go to. So it's SCEP admin. Here we go. So step, well, we don't worry about that part, but obtain password from the NDES. So you actually want to browse to this URL here. And no, this is an underscore here. They just don't, because it's underlined, you can't tell. So we're going to open up a browser window. And let's hope that IE security thing doesn't mess with this. I don't think it should, because it's local. Localhost, serve, set admin. And this usually takes forever to sign in. So I'm just going to pause and bring it back later. Okay, so it's back in. So if the stars aligned and you sang your praises to Bill Gates, now this pops up here. So now this is good. If you get the message where it says like you don't have permission, there was something like, see, this is what you should see. If you get something that looks like where is it? It's probably in troubleshooting down here somewhere. No. This one right here. If you get something that looks like this, which I did 100 times trying to do this thing, and I was almost, I didn't want to do this meetup because I'm like, I hate Microsoft because the stupid thing doesn't work. You don't have sufficient permission to enroll with SCEP. That means that you didn't give the right permission to the template, that certificate template. So you got to go back to that template, give that NDES admin user or whatever you called it, the read and the enroll permission, re-import it back into the CA, reset the service, and hopefully this will work for you. So, yes, so we're done here. And for the Microsoft side of it. So let's jump to the Cisco side of it. So finally, we're in some familiar territory here. So what we're going to do is, and we can go back to my slide here. iOS router steps. Okay, so first we want to make sure that you can actually ping the CA server, which we did already, so we can check that guy off. Next, we have to make sure the domain, the time, and we actually generate some keys. So remember back in our like SSH days and CCNA, I almost memorized that line by heart, like crypto key generate RSA modulus. We want to make sure that these three pieces are in place before we even try to authenticate or get a certificate for our iOS router. So let me bring them up. So to do that, I'm going to do IP domain name, and we said meetup.net. Let's take a look at the clock. It's probably going to be wrong, and it is. So we're going to do set clock, or clock set. I always forget what it is. Okay, yeah, clock set. What time is it right now? 10:30. And this is the 7th, 2014. Okay. And we want to create some keys. So crypto key gen RSA modulus 1024, we'll say. As I mentioned, if you guys have been studying CCNA, you guys probably memorized that line too. So, okay, so we're good in that piece. Done. Now this is where documentation is a little fuzzy on the Cisco site. I'll show you guys how to actually get this thing working fine. So there's three main steps here. Once you have the Microsoft portion configured. So like I said, if you went through like a third party, you wouldn't have to worry about that Microsoft part. You would just jump into this part right here. So first you want to do is create a trust point. Basically the trust point is just the settings that you have attributed to the certificate authority. All right. So we're going to do crypto, PKI, trust point, question mark, and the name of the CA. So I'm going to call it Meetup DC03. I'm just going to call it auto, because this is going to be the auto enrollment version, and then we're going to show the manual. Okay. So enrollment URL, because we're going to download it from the CA server automatically. It's going to do all the heavy lifting work for us. HTTP 192.168.1.223. Specify port 80. slash cert serve and SCEP DLL. And once again, this is something that you would have to know by looking at the documentation. Like nowhere would you know if that's actually the case or not, but you know, you just have to look at the documentation ahead of time and know that's the actual path. Okay. And I have this section down here, or terminal. If you type in enrollment terminal, that's your copy and paste. That's when we're going to do the manual way, but I don't want to do the manual way right now. Tactics is still broken. Radius. So next you want to do your fully qualified domain name. So you want to put in the full domain name. So I'm going to call it radius.meetup.net because that's the name of this device. Then subject name. And the iOS help doesn't really help us here too much. You just have to know this ahead of time. This is going to be that fully qualifying name. So I'm going to put radius.meetup.net. I'm going to put OU. And I think this is case sensitive, so I'm just going to... As you know, I'm not going to put case sensitive because I'm curious if it's going to work without it. OU equals... what do I have there? Meetup. OUIT. O equals organization is going to be meetup.net. And this is stuff that's going to be put into the certificate when we bind the two, like my cert and the CA cert. State, New York. Country, US. And it looks like it took, so it doesn't make a difference if it's capital or lowercase. And I'll just do revocation check none. You could do CRL. So this is getting deep into the Microsoft part. So basically, you could have the trust point or the CA to every once in a while push down the certs that have been revocated or no longer valid. But since it's a lab, I'm just going to say none because I don't really care about that right now. And that's it. So once all the dust settles, this is it for the command. I mean, there's not really much to it. It's just, as I mentioned, if you don't have the documentation ahead of time, you wouldn't know how to type all this stuff in here. So that's the first thing that you want to do is create that trust point. Next, you want to create, as I call it, the light switch to turn on that trust point. So we're going to do crypto PK authenticate to turn it on and to actually get the connection to the CA. Because all we did at this point is just specify the parameters. We didn't actually connect to it. It's like you're creating an ACL, but we didn't actually apply it to an interface yet. So I'm going to do config T again. Instead of saying trust point, I'm going to say authenticate meetup DCL3 auto. Okay, so it's saying fail. Now this has come up for me a couple times too. I'm not sure why. I think maybe something to do probably with the certificate authority, because according to the CA, when it says failed, and you guys probably get this too, and when you do the lab, it says this cert is not valid yet. It starts tomorrow at 2:57 a.m. and it finishes 2016. So I'm pretty sure that's something to do with the CA server. As I mentioned, you know, we're networkers here. We don't care about the Windows too much. So to cheat a little bit, I'm going to do a clock set. Or is it set clock? I always... There we go. So I'm just going to set the same time. It's 11... What time is it now? 10:35. I'm just going to say January 8th. Today's the 7th. I'm going to say January 8th. So that way it falls into this range. Okay. So once it falls into that time range, you will see that it says, okay, the certificate that you're going to pull down or that you're going to trust to authenticate or turn on this trust point has these fingerprints here. So if you want to verify that with the CA, you can, but I'm going to hit yes because I know that's the only game in town, and it accepted the cert. So now we pull down the root CA, or the root certificate from the CA, so we trust that. So any other certs coming from that CA, we're going to trust. And then finally, you want to enroll your router to get a cert from the CA. So all we did in the last part, we turned on, we specified the parameters, we turned it on, and we're trusting anything that comes from that CA. Now we actually want to get a cert from a certificate from the CA. So the final command is going to be really simple, but just enroll meetup DC03 auto. So this challenge password that's talking about here, we got to go back into the CA to this page, and sometimes depending on how you do things, you may want to bookmark this so you don't forget it. And be really careful copying and pasting this, because you don't want to grab an extra space there. Just do exactly just that, or you want to type it in. And the worst thing is with the routers, it doesn't show you when you paste it. You click, right click, enter, right click, enter. In the ASA, at least it shows you the little asterisk, so you know if you actually paste it in or not. So do you want to include the serial number? Yeah, sure, why not? No, and yes, I want a cert. And if all goes well, we should get a cert. It should tell us, okay, cert was rejected by the certificate authority. Now, this is annoying because this seems to work sometimes and not work sometimes. So you can see here, what am I looking at? This is annoying here. Sometimes what you have to do to get this working, when you get this, what I've done is go into the service and just reset it. Go back here, refresh this page. It'll sit there for a while. You get a new password here, so you can try it again. Oh, whoops. Oh, hey, enroll. Right click. Right click. We'll say no this time. No. Yes. Rejected. So this is where it starts to get annoying, because we did everything properly here on the certificate authority. Authenticated with this, so we can do a show crypto PKI cert. We can see that we did in fact pull down that cert. It was issued by DC02, which in turn, so here's the chain. Here's the root, here's the intermediate, and here's the LDAP that we used to actually pull it down. So it could have something to do with the time being off. I don't want to mess with the time right now, because this, we're saying January 8th, and the CA service is the 7th. Let me try this one more time, because here it's saying password can only be used once. So let me just refresh this. And I'll type the whole thing out this time. So uppercase B. And 6. We'll say no. No. Yes. And it was still rejected. Let me do a stop. And I think it has something to do with that time being off. So actually, you know, let me start this back. Let me just stop and stuff. So I'll reset this again. Let's change the time back. Show clock. Okay, so and let's see if that helps us at all. Thing is that I might have broken our authentication. It was still rejected. Actually, so what I did, I took a look at the failed request on the cert, and it's telling us something here. The public key does not meet the minimum size required by the specified certificate template. Now, the light bulb just clicked in my head. What happened? Remember what we did back here when we, I don't know if we, let's just go back that far. Crypto key generate RSA modules 1024. Let's go back to that template. And you can't do it here yet. You have to go to the templates. Where is that tab? So under cryptography, we can see the minimum size is 2048. So, all right, too many windows. Here we go. Public key does not meet the minimum size required by the template. So it's asking for a minimum of, it doesn't tell you what it is, but you just have to know to go back to that templates. So we actually have to change that. So that changes everything. So let's change the clock. Actually, you know, let's leave the clock the way it is, but let's create a new set of keys. So we'll do crypto key gen RSA modulus 2048. We'll be replacing the key that we had previously. That's fine. Okay, and let's do this all over again. So actually, I think, you know what? We saved step 1 already, so we don't have to change anything. So that's there. We already have we already specified a step 1, so let's just authenticate that now that we changed the crypto key, because we'll probably have to get another one. We get DCO3 auto. Please delete your existing CA first. You must use a no crypto. Okay, so looks like we got to do the whole thing from scratch. Are you sure you want to kill it? Yes, we do. Okay. So now we got to start from scratch here. And actually, we don't necessarily have to. We can just take the one that's up here already and just do a copy paste. All right. Now crypto PKI authn meet up DCO3 auto, and it's complaining about the time again. So let's change that. Same time, but we'll cheat here. Now let's authenticate it, which it should work this time. Yes. Okay. And now the piece that we were trying to get working, the enrollment. Password. So let's go back to the CA. We'll refresh this guy. Let's say no. we'll keep it basic so it'll actually work this time. And it was still rejected. $10.36, but it's $10.46 here. We'll probably try, actually, you know what, if we can try lowering that, it's not updating here. Template. Can we open this more? No. Let me do a reset on the service here. It says the password was already used. The RPC service is unavailable. So like I said, guys, this seems to be more of a Microsoft meetup more than anything, which is kind of unfortunate because I'm not a Microsoft guy. Operation tag. We try changing the time back. What happened to my refresh? Okay, so after Googling this error message, there's a Microsoft KB describing exactly what we're getting here. So it looks like if you guys are doing the two VMs like I had it actually, says this issue occurs because the port that the request interface uses has changed when I reset the server on which the enterprise CA is installed. So the NDES role can connect to the enterprise CA. So there's a hotfix here, so I'm going to try that. See if that works. If not, I'm just going to do a standalone. So this way we can just make sure that that it works. Okay, I'm still in the hotfix. Gonna see if that does anything for us. Okay, so I downloaded the hotfix, installed it on the secondary CA. So I'm gonna see if that makes any difference for us. And I'll also take a look at roles and go back to my CA server. So if we get any more of those weird messages, we can, worst comes to worst, I'm just going to create another DC, or I'm going to just make a standalone. And then command-wise syntax, Cisco-wise, we're good. This is more of a Microsoft problem right now. We're not talking about Cisco right now. So last one was at 56. Just saying that the service was started. Alright, so let's try this here again. See, did anything come up here? Okay, now that worked. So apparently that hotfix fixed this issue here. So if you guys want to see the article, even though we got an error here in the event log for the CA server, we did get that certificate authority here. So if you guys are labbing this, I'm actually going to put this in the document section for the NYC Networkers page. I'm just going to make you, instead of guys, you guys going through all that trouble, just make a standalone CA server. I just want to show you guys, some real world scenarios here. This troubleshooting. This thing actually kept me up for like a whole night, and I slept for like 4 hours last night, and just trying to get the stupid thing working. So finally, it's working. Here's the hotfix. If you guys want it, I can email it to you guys, or I'll post this on the site too. So this way you guys can have that hotfix. Where's that article? I'll post up a link also for the article on the page so you guys can have it. But let me go back to the console. Issued certs. And notice here that this register name here is the NDES admin account. That's the one that we gave the certain permissions. Here's a certificate template. So notice that we got that IPsec meetup IPsec template. And what else we got here? Meetup IT, and it was issued to the Radius meetup group account or node, which is this guy right here. So he has it. You could do a show crypto PKI cert. So you can see that cert. So if I blow this window up here, so you guys can see better. CA certificate is available. You can see meetup DC2. You can see the root. You can see the secondary, the right time, the associated trust points, which is the auto. So this is where you can see the actual cert that you have on the device itself. So that's for iOS. So hopefully ASA will be much quicker now that we figured out the issue with the CA server. Okay. Actually, I forgot to write a slide for that, but let me. I'll show you guys what it is. It's literally the same exact 3 steps. The only difference is instead of saying crypto PKI, it's crypto. I think it's like CA. I think it is. So okay. So let's jump to the ASA, and we can still ping the CA server, so that's good. So let's do the steps. So it's going to be crypto. Instead of PKI, it's going to be CA. Trust point. Meetup. DC03. Auto. We'll call it. Enroll. Actually, maybe do a question mark here. enrollment URL, and this is gonna be almost the same exact stuff that we had before. So if you want, you can do like a copy and paste into a notepad like I did, and just it's almost the same thing. So copy paste, FQDN, subject line, that's going to be the same exact thing. I think even the serial number we can put in there as well. And revocation check, I think it's a slightly different syntax. Revocation check, no, actually no, it's the same exact thing. So if I do show run crypto, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. It's practically the same exact thing as the iOS. The main difference is instead of saying PKI, you say CA. So, similar fashion, crypto, instead of PKI, we're going to say CA. Authenticate. Meetup DC. You want to accept it? Yes, I do. Good. And now the moment of truth, we're going to see if we can actually enroll the ASA. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I almost forgot. So we got to actually do the same steps that we did on the router. We have to do domain name, time, and create some pre-shared keys. So let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully that didn't mess up what we had previously. Is it domain name? Here we go. IP domain name meetup.net. We'll show clock. The clock is that right? No, today is the 7th. Okay, but close enough. It's almost the same time. And the key, so I'll do crypto key gen RSA modulus 1048. We want to make sure it matches our policy. It's taking longer than the 1024 because, you know, obviously the bigger the key, the longer it takes. Okay, so it's done. So now let's do the enrollment. Oh, you know what? I did too much of a copy. Say no. Hold on a second. I messed one thing up with my copy and pasting. Let's go down to. It's not TACX. It's just called Cisco ASA. So we actually have to change. Yeah, we might have to just delete this. Let's start from scratch. This thing didn't. Hold on. Let's do this from the beginning. So this is going to be practically the same thing. So I'm going to copy it to a notepad. I'm just going to change TACX. I'm just going to change it to Cisco ASA, the name of the firewall. Okay, crypto CA, authenticate. Yes. Okay, and now finally enroll. As you guys can probably tell by now, you can see why this is such a tedious process and why it took me forever to release the video. Challenge password. So we go back to the CA server. Let's refresh it to get a new password. Nice thing is this time around it actually gives you asterisks, so it tells you if you actually hit yes. It'll tell you if you actually pasted the password. Okay, certificate request sent. So if I go to, I'm going to refresh here. Still have this here. And great, certificate has been granted by the CA. So now if I do F5, so now I see the first one, second one, And if I scroll to the common issue name, now I see my Cisco ASA meetup. So that's it. That's the automated way. As unfortunately, we were troubleshooting for a while with the Microsoft stuff, and Microsoft needed a hotfix to work. But in your lab environment, you may just want to do a single VM instead of two. Me putting two VMs kind of complicated things a little bit more, but that's that. So, but let me show you guys the manual way. This will be pretty fast to do. A little bit more, a couple steps here. What you want to do is actually go to a different path. So go to localhost, serve by itself. And if you guys get this message, just hit the compatibility view. Go figure the Microsoft server can't, a Microsoft browser can't figure out how Microsoft CA works. So another reason why I left Microsoft. All right. So it'll sit there for a while. It looks like it'll time out, but it won't. Here we go. I'm going to add this to favorites so I don't forget it. So what we want to do first is, instead of doing it manually, we're going to do it the auto enrollment terminal, which is going to basically do a cut and paste. So we're going to go back to our Radius device, and I'm going to create a new crypto PKI trust point meetup DC03, but I'm going to call it term for the terminal mode, enrollment. And instead of saying the URL, I'm going to specify the terminal, which is, I'm literally just going to do cutting and pasting terminal. Everything else is pretty much the same, so I'm going to go back to my notepad here. Serial number, revocation list, subject name. No, not TACX this time. I messed it up already. Radius. Okay. Now let's do a show run. Okay. So crypto PKI trust point. Enrollment terminal serial. It's, as we saw here, it's pretty much almost the same exact thing that we had previously. Now, we're going to do authenticate. So remember, once again, once we do this, trust point doesn't do anything. It just sets the parameters for that particular CA. So now let's do the next step, which is going to be the crypto PKI authenticate meetup DC term. Now it's going to ask us to put in the root CA, the root certificate for the CA that we're looking for. So instead of pulling it by HTTP, we actually have to manually copy and paste it in. So go to this page here. You want to request a certificate, advanced. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Go back. Download a CA. You want to make sure you click on the base 64 and just click on download CA certificate. And you can save it. I'm going to save it to the desktop. Okay. Now, one thing that will make this easier to open. Go to folder options. Check this guy off. Hide extensions for known file types. So what you can do is, because we don't need it as a surf format, I want it as a text. Take this guy, copy it, paste it in here. Quit. Error and save insert failed. And it's complaining about the time again. So, what do we got for the clock here? Do show clock. Yeah, so let's trick this thing again. Clock set. So I'm going to do, what's it, 11. This is military time, but whatever, since it's going to be a different day. Jan 8. Let's go back to our doesn't go back that far. Okay, we'll do it again. So crypto PKI authn meetup DC03 terminal. Paste this guy back in here again. Quit. Do you want to accept it? Yes. Okay. Now, finally, once that's accepted, we want to enroll. Same way as we did it before. So what we do is cry PKI enroll meetup DC term. Okay. No, I don't want to put an IP address. Display. So now this is the important part here. The place where it says display certificate request, you want to hit yes. Now this is the certificate that we have to give spit into the CA itself. So we got to go back to the CA. Let's go back to home. Anytime now. All right, now you want to click on this bottom section here where it says download the CA. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Request the CA. And today would be nice. Advanced cert. Pick this long one down here. Okay, and paste that this string in there. Now you want to pick the offline request because that's what we're basing it off of. In this case, yeah, pick the offline request. You can actually, depending on what type of type you want, you can change different ones. But for our purposes, we want that one. Submit, and once again, base 64 and download it. Save as. I'm going to call this, which one is that? The radius? The radius cert. .txt. And also a quick trick for the Windows, if you put anything in quotes, it'll save it as that file format. And even if so, like going forward, if you, in production environments, you can even rename this as like meetup DC03 root cert. And assuming that doesn't change, you could always like reuse these certs over and over and over again. So I know this one's my radius one, so I'm going to copy this. No, I don't want to do it. Redisplay it. Okay. Now the only different command here that we would have to do is import this new certificate to our device here. So we'll do crypto PKI import meetup DC term. It's a certificate. Put it in. Quit. And if you get this down here where it says successfully imported, you're good. So go into here. We can see that offline request. It's a nice certificate that we applied. Notice that we didn't use NDES this time. We used a local administrator account. And there's our radius. So we did it once for using NDES and once manually. So we can do both on the same router. That's why we didn't necessarily need that TACAX router working. ASA is very, very similar. So same format. So I'm going to do a crypto CA trust point meetup DC03 term. I'll call it the same thing. Now let me just make sure I have my, before I copy and paste, terminal. Copy all this in. That looks about right. Then we want to download the root to the ASA. So you're going to be doing crypto CA authn meetup DC03 term. So it wants you to supply the root manually. So instead of me going through that whole CA process again, I already have it saved. So just take it, copy, paste, quit, you want to accept it? Yes, I do. Successfully imported. So we're good with that. Next, and as you guys do this more and more, it's assuming that the CA is working fine and we don't waste 30 minutes working on that. The Cisco end is really straightforward. That's why I didn't want to do a half-assed meetup with you guys and just show you like a 15-minute video. So crypto PKI, not CA, enroll question mark, meetup DC term. Display the certificate. Now this part we do have to display it because we gotta shove it into the throw it into the certificate authority. So we go back. Let's go back home. While we're young. Now I'm nervous about this part because if I put the wrong password in, it's gonna lock us out. Should be administrator. Please work. Oh, good. Okay, good. One thing is if you put the wrong password in there, as you can see, there's nowhere to sign out. So one thing to do is download another web browser and try it with that. There's probably a better way to do it, but I don't remember. I don't know if there's a better way to do it. There probably is out there, but I'm a network guy. I'm just showing this as a way for you guys to get the full picture here. So anyhow, let's do download the CA. Base 64. You want to download the go back. Request a cert. Advanced. The long one down here. Okay, pop the ASA CA in here. Pick offline. Submit. 64. Download. Save as. You call the Cisco ASA cert. Not cert, I want TXT. Here we go. Copy this. Run back in here. Hit no. Extra step that we have to do is crypto CA import meetup DC03 term cert. Quit. And once we get this successfully imported, we know that we're good. So we're done. There we go. So in summary, guys, sorry for the mix up there with that CA troubleshooting, but one good thing about that we all got out of it is that was some real world troubleshooting. I didn't run into that the first time I did the lab. I blew up my whole previous lab. I started from scratch. So it was good because then for you guys, you may just want to have a standalone CA. If you do want the hotfix, get in touch. I'll put it on the documents section under nycnetworkers.com. But if you guys want more references for this, as I mentioned, the white paper is on the NYC Networkers page, or you can click on these other links here. As you can imagine, there was a lot of white paper and KB reading to get this meetup up and going. So, and that's it. So I showed you guys the manual way. I showed you guys the automatic way for both the router, iOS router, and for the firewall. So you guys are covered now. You guys can now go forth to your to your workplaces and confidently say that you know how CAs work, and that's something that not a lot of people can say. At least I couldn't say that when I first did this meetup because I was really confused of how it worked, and I had to really spend a lot of time getting this going. But I think it was pretty good. I think it was pretty good overall. So It's in summary. Remember our meetup.com page. Remember our websites and our YouTube channel. And any questions, you guys can post comments at the bottom. Let me know what you guys think about it. And email is there, my Skype handle name. And that's it, guys. So I'm going to wrap this up. Hopefully you guys, once again, enjoyed it. And hopefully I see you guys in person at a future meetup. All right, have a good night, guys.